Okay, thank you all for joining us. So we have an agenda today, and hopefully we will cover it in the next 50 minutes. So yeah, we will basically start with introducing ourselves, and we will then talk about resources and supports that are available, for sections, and Paul will then cover the events and conferences support, and we can answer any questions at the end. But we've also given some time between some of the slides. So if you want to come in at any point as well to ask any questions, feel free to do so. Well, yeah, if you could keep your microphones muted during the webinar, that would be really good. But yeah, let's get started. So my name is Amaka Wagbara. I'm the Member Engagement Manager at the RSS. I look after sections and local groups and other volunteering opportunities, including Statisticians for Society. And I'm joined here by
Paul Gentry. I'm the Conferences and Events Manager at the Society, so very much does what it says on the tin. But as well as looking after the RSS conference, I oversee all the sections meeting programme as well.
And my name is Amira, and I am Membership Administrator, and I'll be supporting with any queries or any issues that you guys have.
Brilliant. So yeah, we've invited you all today because you are part of, the 16 sections that we have. You're all officers in doing really good work as volunteers, and we're very pleased that, every year we're able to bring in new volunteers, new officers, taking on roles, leading our sections and doing brilliant work, organizing events and activities on behalf of the society, helping us deliver our strategy. And yeah, if you're not aware, we do have 16 sections. Hopefully, we'll continue to grow and provide more networking opportunities for the community in a whole. We also have a special interest group in data ethics as well. They're also going to be going on for 3 years. They were created in 2018, are basically helping us look at the data ethics landscape, basically. And they're also available for activities and events. So if you're looking to collaborate with them, please feel free to do so. And that's basically it. But I mean, in terms of support for sections, one of the great things that we've done as a society is offer our sections trustee support. We have the honorary officer for sections, Karen Facey. She's available via email to answer any questions, to help you pose questions to council, to assist you in any way possible. She's also available on Twitter, but it's always worth knowing who she is, and she'll be at the officers meeting this month. So if you ever need to ask Karen any questions, please feel free to do so at any time. As a society, we've also got trustees on council who offer a link for council to sections. So we're hopefully getting all sections a council representative. This is an observer from council who can help pose any questions to council, just as Karen does, but they can also help you, provide you more information on how society is delivering our strategy. They can update you on council matters and society business in general. We encourage them to at least attend one meeting every year, of your section face to face. But for the other meetings in the year, they will probably dial in. But it's always worth noting who they are and keeping a standing item on agenda so they can get involved and participate in your activities. I hope you can see this organizational chart, but we wanted to kind of just give you a brief idea of where we are as a society. We've grown in the past few years. I think we have over 30 members of staff now. I sit on the membership team, myself and Amira, we sit on the membership team, and we are helping to deliver our membership strategy for the next 3 years. Paul is on the comms team.
Policy and Public Affairs
Yeah.
team, as of last September.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, Paul and Luz, who are going to be your main contacts for events, they're also part of this large team doing a lot of work in terms of press and policy and events side of things. So this staff organizational chart is on the information center for you to look at any point. And if you ever need it, do let me know. But it's just to give you a brief idea that we do have members of staff covering quite a range of initiatives and projects for the society. So if you ever need to contact them, please do so. Does anybody have any questions at this point? No? Great. Okay. Before we thought it would be quite useful for you guys to know the support you have, for as a committee, as a section. I'm your key contact, myself and Amira. We offer you all the governance support that you need. If you have any questions as a new committee member, as a new officer, or, about what the society does, please let me know. I can help you find out who can assist you with any work you're doing for us or any events you're organizing. I'm there for this. This is why I've been employed, basically. So feel free to contact me at any point. I also hold the budget for sections for your governance activities. So if you have meetings here at the society or externally, I provide money to cover your expenses. So it's always useful to inform your committee members about this, that any travel expenses should go to Amaka. But also, if you order catering as well, if you book rooms for your meeting, do let me know, because I would be the one covering your lunch and refreshment costs as well. So it's always useful for me to know when meetings are happening, and so we can make sure that that's always in the budget. For key committee work, I'm the one who would always notify you of what needs to be done. If you're reviewing your remit for the year, I will send you information on when this needs to be done. I will send you a reminder. I will send you the deadlines as well, just to keep you updated. Every year, sections as well have to do their AGM and nominations, and this is also something we will assist you with. So encouraging you to find new members, new volunteers to join you. And you have from September to basically December to do it, but I help you through that process, making sure that you have as much support as you need from the society. Your annual report, some of you had to do that this year, but some of you will be doing it for the first time, and it's something I can help you fill in, because there's a spreadsheet involved. There's quite a lot of information you need to provide. So supporting you with this work is basically what we can do. As a society, there's a lot happening, and in most cases, we send updates to sections, encouraging them to get involved, encouraging them to help us promote it. So I would always be the one who will send you this information. But if it's not me, it would come from the member of staff who's involved with it. But, if you have any questions at any point, always contact me. I would do my best to come back to you and find out what you need to know. Creation of new special interest groups. So before you become a section, you have to be set up as a special interest group. So that is something I assist fellows in doing every year. So if anyone has any ideas, they come to me. I support them in putting together a proposal document that goes to council or executive committee. And we start our process of getting you set up in the society. So these are some of the work I do for sections. And we will now talk about some of the key documents that are available to sections. I I think, it's quite useful if you're, as an officer, to really know what you need to do. I think sometimes there's a lot happening, there's a lot of emails coming from me, and I always want to make sure that, you're aware that you can find this information, you can find information you need anywhere. And I can always assist you as much as I can. I will start with the regulations. So sections regulations, it is an agreement that has been put together for sections to help them understand how they need to operate. It provides as much information about the role for section officers. It provides information on how much the term limits of section officers and and committee members as well. This is something you can go back to understand why we ask you to do AGMs every year, because we ask for 2 new members. As well, it's something that you can look at for your service level agreement, which we've put together to ensure that staff provide you with the services that you need. So things like room bookings, catering, streaming, filming, and the webinar we're doing right now. So these are services that we as a society can provide you. And in this service level agreement, we've provided you with information about who you should contact, how much time you should give in between, to make sure that you have as much support as you need. So please do have a look at this document. It's very important, because staff, as they have things they need to do, but at the same time they will try their best to accommodate you and get what you need done, basically. So I will move on to the activity timetable, but before I do so, does anybody have any questions so far? No. Okay, great. I sent you the activity timetable at the beginning of the year. This is basically the schedule for sections. So every year we try to collate as much information about activities, about deadlines you need to know, from January to December, so that you have this information and you know what you need to do as a section. As I mentioned, there's a strategy and there's a lot involved in making sure we deliver this strategy. So we have put together schedule on when sections need to deliver certain things for us. So things like the events bulletin, which goes out every 2 months, we've provided the dates for that. Council nominations, we've provided deadlines for when you need to do that. And, I sent you your remit document reminder last month. And so this is something that sections need to be aware of. So please have a look at this as you go along, as you're scheduling your committee meetings, so that you know what needs to be done and when they need to be provided. So it's always worth looking at. And if you have any questions, come back to me and I will help you answer them. The remit. I thought it'd be good to talk about this because I know a lot of you for the first time will be reviewing the remit document. It's basically a document, outlining as a section what you need, what you plan to deliver. We want to know, your background, what the section is going to do, what your aims and objectives will be, your working methods as well. This is basically how you plan to deliver it. Will you be doing lots of social media work? Will you be organizing meetings, events, workshop, training? We want to know if you will be, organizing discussions, plenary discussions, things like that. Who your target audience will be. Are you targeting students? Are you targeting, people in industry, academia? And also the links to the society strategic plan. So I've sent you the strategic plan as well to go with this, and it's always useful to know how you match up to it, because at the end of the year, when you're filling out your activity report, you can then understand what links you have, how this has linked up to the strategic plan, and you can update that information as quickly as possible. So I don't really have a good example here, but I just wanted to give you a brief information about how a remit document would look like. So if you have any questions about how to fill this out, or what a template for, if you want a template for a remit, please let me know. It's always useful for sections to update this as new committee members come in, as you decide on your priorities for the year, what you will be focusing on. We want you to have this on paper so that people, we know that you are doing a lot of work, and we want to help you put that down somewhere. The activity
Amika, can I ask a question? Sorry, it's Lucy.
policy.
Are remits supposed to be linked to the RSS strategic plan?
Yes, mostly they do.
So the strategic plan that I've got is dated 2014 to 2018. Am I out of date then? Because does that mean there's a new one imminently, or does it go with the new presidents?
There's a new one. There's a one from
Okay.
2018 to 2022. So
I'll find that one.
I will send you, let me see, the new strategic plan. I think that was the one I sent with the remit review reminder, but if not, I will send that again.
Oh no, that's fine. If that's been, I've not got round to that email yet, but that's fine.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Cool. So yeah, the activity record, it's where we ask sections at the end of the year to write down all the information on the activities they've run throughout that year. So here's an example from data science. From January down to December, they were quite active. So they were able to note down the meetings, the roundtable sessions, the workshops that they ran. They were able to put down, partners, both at the RSS and external partners that they worked with. Attendance records as well. So if you hold meetings here, Paul and Lutz can provide you with information on who attended those meetings. Strategic goals as well. So things like what you've done for your remit document, you can use that information to update the strategic goals to tell us how they're linked to it. Documentation, we normally ask for things like links to any event reports that you've written, any recordings. So if you did a webinar, we want to have a link to that webinar. If the meeting was recorded, if it was live streamed, we want to provide that link. Because from this year, what we've decided to do is put an annual report for sections and local groups on their pages, so that anybody who's interested in what sections do can have a look at any point. And it also will help with recruiting new people onto the committee, because you can tell them, have a look at our page. This is what we've done. This is how, the range of activities we tend to do during the year. So we try to say, although I don't provide spreadsheet as early as possible, use the old versions, to keep that information as you go along. So if you hold a meeting, make sure that information, is put on a spreadsheet somewhere, it's recorded somewhere as you go along. If you attend a meeting on behalf of the RSS, keep that information somewhere. If you organize or collaborate with external organizations, put that as well. So it's useful to do that so that you don't have to scramble at the end of the year trying to remember what you've done. So I think, if you want to start doing it from now, let me know. I can send you the new spreadsheet, but otherwise, feel free to use what you've got in the past. But I think you mention this to your committee members, tell them that it's always useful to keep that information recorded somewhere. Does anyone have any questions?
Emeka, it's Andrea Ramon here. My question is there a recommendation for the amount of sort of activities that each section should be doing in a year?
We say three to four activities. That would be quite good, because I think, you have a lot of committee members, and, they join you because they have a lot of ideas about what they want to do. So it's always good to encourage them to go out there and, do them. So I think, there's some sections that do 6 activities per year, but if you do 3 to 4, that's fine. that's okay. I think we realize that you're doing a lot of this work in your spare time, so you can't really commit as much time to section work. So if you do through 3 or 4, that's okay with us.
Hey.
Okay.
Annika, I also have a question about the activity record.
Mm-hmm.
Amira's been in touch to ask to send links to things like when we do tweets and write-ups on the website and things like that.
Yeah.
For the tweets and things, sometimes we can send sort of like 30 in one event.
Yeah.
Do you need links to each individual tweet, or like how's the best way to go about showing the output?
So I think for that one, if you do like a storify at the end of
Okay.
yeah, that would be fine. You can send us that link. But I think if you don't have that, you can just say you can send us one link, or you can just say Twitter. There was a Twitter takeover for that. That should cover it. But otherwise, a storify link or just one link. Because I think most tweets are linked to each other. So if you can just send us one, that should be fine for it.
Yeah, and with website things, do you need things like for when we're advertising the event or for just when the event's happening?
When the events happened, so once you've written up a summary about that event, that's what we'll need. So not the event details, not a link to the event publicity link, not that. We want the actual write-up for that event. So we encourage you to use to write up your events after they've happened. So please do that as much as possible. It doesn't have to be you writing up those events. It can be someone who attended it and is quite keen to see more activities like that happen. It can be another committee member. So those are other ways people can contribute to your work. So yeah, feel free to provide that link. Yeah. Anybody else have questions? Yeah. I mean, so we'll probably go on to other ways, sections contribute to our activities in the RSS. So you may have heard about the incentivization scheme, which we launched last year. So, sections were very, very good at promoting the RSS during their meetings. So, last year we hit 10,000 members, and, I think we're growing every year. So, I think if you don't think you're doing a lot of work for us, please do know that this is one of the biggest outputs that you provide for us as a society. So membership is quite good. Discussion meetings, you have representatives who sit on these committees. For the discussion meeting committee, you basically have committee members who are on there. So yeah, you support our work in that. We have a publications network as well. Sections have committee members who sit on this. Our policy team contact you when they need advice or they have a consultation. So you guys provide input to policy as well. Honors and awards, we ask you to put in applications, nominate people for honors and awards. Stats Live social media, you write articles about your meetings, you promote your events on our social media account, on your social media accounts as well. So these are great outputs and activities that you guys do for the society and can include in your activity report. So we'll make these slides available. So these are the kind of things that you can mention and record on your activity report. There you go. All right. So I'm going to shut up now because I think I've been talking for too long and hand you over to Paul.
I don't know, do you want to take any questions on the whole governance area before we move on to events? Or?
Yes. Does anyone have any questions? No? Please feel free to drop me an email at any point. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Okay. We'll now move on to how we can support you with your events and contributions to conference. So the Conference Events team consists of 2 of us, which anyone who's been involved previously will know is an improvement over this time last year when it was 1.5 of us. As the Conference Events Manager, I oversee all the Society's events activity and supporting different areas of that. 50% of my job is managing the annual conference, but the rest of the time I'm overseeing all the other events the Society organises, and I'm very ably assisted in that by Liz Martinez, who you'll probably encounter a lot in terms of she sets up web listings, runs the registration process in advance of events, and for those events taking place at Elwood Street, deals with the logistics on the day. Just to give you sort of overview of all of the different sorts of events that the Society organises. We obviously, the big one is the annual RSS conference, which I'll come on to in a bit more detail in a moment. We also have our keynote lectures, which include the beverage lecture, which takes place every 2 years, and the President's Address, which alternates with that. We then have the bit that you guys are responsible for, the Sections Meeting Programme, which is usually, we're looking at around probably 30 to 40 events per year. We have all the local group meetings, which is usually about another 50 to 60 meetings per year. We then have various event partnerships which we form with other organisations. So, for example, at the moment, I'm currently working with the OR Society on the annual analytics summit, which takes place in June, sort of finding speakers for that. So occasionally you may get emails from me saying, we've been approached by this organisation, they're looking for input on experts in a particular area, and I'll ask you to give me some help in finding those speakers. And then I've put the other catch-all on the bottom there of other special events. So, for example, this evening we've got the President's Dinner, which is an invited event with representatives of other societies and organisations. We have the Stats Excellence Award ceremony in July, and then various other events that sort of fall under that category. So, what support do we particularly offer to sections in organising their events? Well, I suppose the big one from my point of view is the whole event planning process, and what I mean by that is, right from the beginning of when you first have an idea, when you're having a brainstorm session at your section committee meetings about, what are the key topics that you should looking to organise events on, over the coming year. That's sort of where we first get involved, sort of offering guidance and advice. A big part of that is the whole budgeting process. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this right now because it can become quite a complex area, but if you or colleagues from your sections are coming to the officers' meeting at the end of the month, there'll be a session where I'll go into slightly more detail on that. But each individual event, I need to look at the budget for that. I am the budget holder for all section event activities, so I have to give sign off on any costs that you'll be incurring. Big one, we offer registration process. We have our online event system, which is open for all events to use, and we very much strongly encourage that because it obviously helps us keep information in one place. We can help you with promoting your event. Now, this is obviously a lot of that is looking at how we can do that as cheaply as possible, and sort of promoting it within the society. But we do have, we also have a marketing manager here at the society who can, if you need a flyer designing, etc., can help with that. But we don't have just to get this out there, we don't have a huge budget for promoting individual section events, but we can always talk to you about the best way of doing that. As Amika mentioned earlier, one of the key things about we do is produce, as well as the fortnightly members bulletins, which include the short list of society events that are coming up imminently. We do also do a specific events bulletin every couple of months, which is just basically we list everything we've got information on that's coming up, organised by sections and groups over the next 2 to 3 months. And I've just sent an email out yesterday reminding people that the next event, or the first events bulletin of this year, is next Thursday, and things need to be in by next Monday if they're going to be included in that. We can also offer you technical support. I've very clearly said, this is when you're holding meetings at Elwell Street. Our colleagues in the web and IT team, one of them, Angelo, is here silently supporting us this morning. Are available to help you if, for example, you're doing webinars, if you want your event recorded. We're tentatively looking at live streaming and so on going forward, but it's not something we're putting out there to offer, but there's the potential in the future. But all that sort of technical support we can offer when you're holding meetings here in London. And then finally, the other thing we've been doing over the last year or so is providing event feedback cards for your events, so that attendees can rate what they thought of the event they're attending, but also very crucially can give you suggestions and other things that they'd like your section to organise. And that's gradually been picking up, and again, it's another thing we can, if you're holding an event here, we put those out automatically, but it's then for the section to sort of collate that information, and that then can feed into your activity report at the end of the year. Okay. Now, I've mentioned obviously quite a lot about holding events here in London, but we obviously do also have our local groups around the country, and one overseas, and we do very much encourage sections to engage with our local groups for joint events, because much as we love our meeting facilities in London, it's obviously important that we have activities all across the UK, and the local groups do that. But it's also obviously a great opportunity for sections to get their areas of interest seen, outside of our London base. So I do encourage you to get in touch with local groups. I'm sure at the point you've got committee members who are also on local group committees who can provide links as well. So please do think about we say holding at least one of your events each year outside of London. Before I move on to conference, are there any questions about sort of organising events, any of the about any of the support we give?
Paul, it's Wendy. Just when we need to let you know about the events coming up, do we just email that to you, or can we put this direct onto Stats Life?
There is the ability to submit things directly to Stats Life. I know quite a few of the local groups, not so many in the sections, do have logins for that. I know you sent me an email this morning, Wendy.
I did. I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I'll respond to that. But yeah, we're able to give logins for people to do that directly. All I'd say for sections is that if it's an event where we're charging a registration fee to attend, it's often easier than actually for the office to put the listing up, because obviously we have to make sure the registration pages are set up correctly. But certainly for free events, for local group events, you can submit those. And then we can approve them for going live.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? No. Okay. In which case, I will move on. Just talk a little bit about the RSS conference, which is another key activity that sections can contribute to, and we're part of the the conference has really grown over the last 3 to 4 years. So we now have over 600 attendees from in 2018 from over 40 countries, and part of that has been the growth in the invited session programme. And while the key drivers of that has been sections, putting forward sessions within that programme, and we have the last couple of years had over 50 invited sessions, and that will be the same again for this year. But one of the things I think I would get an element of surprise from sections where I talk to them is about the long planning process we have for conference. It is over a 2-year planning cycle from when we first agree where the conference is being held to it being delivered. And as part of that, we start programme planning. Essentially, the conference board will be meeting next month in Belfast, which is where this year's conference is. But the main item on there, one of the main items on their agenda, will be talking about starting the programme planning for 2020 conference. So it is a long planning process. So I can, it won't be a revelation to those of you who've been involved with this before, but the proposal for 2020 conference for sessions will need to be in during November this year. So you can start putting on your committee agendas to start thinking about. There will be more information sent out May, June time, but that I can tell you now that will be when we'll need them in. The other thing to mention about conference is that when we're looking at where conference is being held, we do encourage venues and host cities to involve their relevant, if there's a relevant local RSS local group or the local stats department in that bid, because it helps us know that there is local support we can rely on. So I suppose 2 things here: if you're keen to see the RSS conference come to your area, speak to your local convention bureau, but vice versa, don't be surprised if you're involved with a local group or in a stats department to suddenly get a venue coming to you and saying, "Oh, we're putting in a bid for the RSS conference." So just to in terms of one of the things about the conference is which marketing is a general conference. But about 4 years ago, we moved to having clearly defined streams within the conference. And for those of you who can see the slides, that we've got the list here of the ones that are on this year's conference programme. And they generally stay the same. There's a few tweaks. So, but I would expect this to be sort of the list that we'll also be looking at for 2020. The possible changes we've added for contributed talks for this year's conference, the data ethics stream, and there'll probably be a discussion about whether that becomes an actual stream for 2020. But that's, you can see we cover all the substantial areas which all sections will hopefully relate to one or more of those streams. But if you don't, just get in touch with me and say, to discuss what the ideas you've got and where they may fit. So, are there any questions specifically about the RSS conference and submitting sessions, etc.? No. Okay, I will move on then. So, just provide here a list of sort of the key contacts. Generally, a bit like Amika said with governance, if in doubt, contact me. I have that oversight. I will deal with planning questions. I deal with the budget. I can at least deal with initial queries about marketing. Once your event is set up and running, Luth becomes your main contact in terms of registration numbers and the logistics of delivering the event on the day. As you may have seen recently, we've changed the way that we're handling bookings for meeting rooms at Elwood Street, 4 sections. So myself and Luth are the contacts there now, from when you want to check which dates rooms are available. to submit in the booking form. A couple of other names on there. Simon McDonnell, who deals with our website, is the person to speak to when you've got an event report to be added. And Camilla in the web team is the person to speak to if you're thinking about holding a webinar, or if you want to explore having your event filmed. Okay, I'll hand back to Veronica.
Yes, so I just wanted to quickly mention the Information Center. It's a repository for sections and local groups. It's where we keep all the documents, all the guidelines, resources to help you with your event planning, with marketing, publicity, basically. So if you ever have time, please have a look at it. If there's anything missing, let me know. We're constantly updating it. We are still updating it for 2019, but do have a look. We put the travel expenses claim form, the guidelines, they're all there. So I think if your committee members need any information, please start there or get in touch with me. I can help you. But it's just worth mentioning that all those emails I send you, those documents are all stored somewhere for you to go back to at any point. So yeah, please have a look at it. If you don't have access to it, let me know. But I think every officer now should have access to it. But yeah, do have a look so I can check that, we have done and provided the right person with access to the information center. Just to quickly mention communications. So the way I contact, and Paul and I, basically all members of staff contact sections, is through a committee list. We have lists for each officer group. So section chairs, section secretaries, section meeting secretaries, section vice chairs, we all have lists for them. And if there is a particular work that needs to be done by a certain group, I will send a targeted email to them, but copy in everybody within the offices so that they are aware of what's happening. And so please don't be alarmed or surprised if you're under a particular list. It's because you have been mentioned as the officer. We also encourage networking. We want you guys to meet other sections, to meet other local groups, to find out what they're doing, what they've done last year, what they're planning to do, how you can collaborate. So we're organizing we have the officers meeting coming up in 3 weeks' time, which some of you are attending. So we're planning one for the end of the year, so look out for a save the date as well for that. But so these are the ways we communicate with section and make sure that you are kept informed of what's happening at the society. Sections, you guys communicate through your lists. Some of you have lists. You organize committee meetings, you have agendas and minutes, and Paul and I feed into that. We try our best to attend your meetings, dial into them when possible. So it's always worth us knowing, because we attend so many sections meetings, so we're able to offer you information on, this person is doing something, and you could collaborate with them, you could partner with them. So these are some of the ways that we can help you link up with the right people, even at the society as well. If we know somebody's doing something, we always, share that information with you. So it's always useful that you add us to your committee list, you invite us to your meetings, you put us on the agenda if needed. So things like conference, when they're coming up, we always say it's useful for Paul to be there so he can answer any questions, help, anybody who needs assistance to get you started. So things like that, that's how we can help. As I mentioned, I was employed here to support sections with the work that they're doing. We want to make sure that you're not left, you don't feel like you don't know enough information. So please bring us or invite us to things that are happening so that we can offer assistance.